Imagine a path so ancient, so mysterious, that it weaves through hidden chambers of the human spirit, unlocking powers not visible to the naked eye, but deeply felt by the soul. This is not just spiritual symbolism. It's an initiation, a sacred transformation. And at the heart of it lies the Rosicrucian tradition, an esoteric map guiding seekers toward higher states of being, consciousness, and harmony. In the world of mystical teachings and hidden wisdom, the Rosicrucian path stands apart not just as a philosophy, but as a lived practice designed to elevate human consciousness and refine the inner vibrational frequency of the soul. Those who walk this path do not merely study symbols or memorize rituals, they undergo profound inner transformation. The goal to awaken the spiritual spark that lies dormant within and to harmonize one's being with the divine rhythms of the universe. Central to Rosicrucian practices is a transformative moment during initiation, an experience so potent that it becomes the catalyst for awakening. It is in this sacred space where the heart becomes unguarded and entirely open that the energy of unconditional love begins to flow. Here, vulnerability is not weakness, it is the portal to divine communion. Within this profound state, an inner flame is lit, a spiritual ignition from the very center of the heart. From that spark, something extraordinary unfolds. A soft, etheric rose light begins to rise, ascending from the heart to the third eye, illuminating the pathway between worlds. This ascent isn't just symbolic, it's energetic. The light travels through what ancient Eastern traditions call the Cave of Brahma, a mysterious sanctuary located between the pineal and pituitary glands. This inner cave, when activated, becomes a gateway to divine insight, revealing a clarity that goes far beyond intellectual understanding. It is a space of silence, of inner vision, where spirit whispers and truth is seen not with the eyes, but with the soul. Guided by the radiant rose light, the initiate embarks on a journey that's both celestial and internal. Along the way, profound spiritual insights arise, not from books, but from direct experience. And within this inner alchemy, another powerful teaching emerges: the cultivation of the will in action centers. These centers, deeply rooted in Eastern traditions, such as Chinese alchemy and Japanese martial philosophy, are located in the region of the lower dantian, an energetic core in the belly. It is here that intention meets power. In the Rosicrucian view, this energy center becomes a vital reservoir for spiritual force, a space from which intentional action in the physical world originates. The practitioner learns not just to will, but to will in alignment with divine intelligence. The alignment between will and action becomes more than a goal, it becomes a spiritual law. As the inner and outer selves harmonize, manifestation flows naturally. Reality becomes more fluid. The world outside bends to match the frequency cultivated within. This is not fantasy, it is esoteric science. And it is through this mysterious, disciplined practice that one learns to affect the seen by mastering the unseen. One of the most sacred principles in Rosicrucian teachings is transmutation, the art of transformation. While ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, the deeper metaphor was always spiritual. The real alchemy occurs within. Through subtle energetic manipulation, the practitioner refines their vibration, raising it steadily, deliberately, until even their physical presence begins to reflect their inner purity. This transformative process often involves navigating ethereal fields, energies less dense than matter, yet more powerful in shaping reality. It is a gradual sequence, one that demands dedication, silence, and deep trust. Here, the Rosicrucian becomes a vibrational conductor, shaping, channeling, and refining frequencies to bring the spiritual into form. The physical world becomes a canvas, and the practitioner a sacred artist of vibration. At its height, this practice unfolds into the true art of alchemy, not the mere transformation of matter, but the elevation of essence. Just as ancient adepts transformed base metals into gold, the modern Rosicrucian seeks to transform lower emotions into higher virtues, confusion into clarity, and chaos into divine order. This is the path of the spiritual alchemist. In the Rosicrucian worldview, alchemy is not limited to laboratory experiments or mystical symbols. It extends into the realm of the psyche, offering the practitioner a mirror in which they see not just who they are, but who they can become. Every thought, every intention becomes a thread in the tapestry of transformation. The dance between spiritual intention and material manifestation becomes so refined, so synchronized that the material world itself begins to shift. As this sacred journey unfolds, two essential practices arise as the pillars of all Rosicrucian work: self-observation and stability. Self-observation is not a passive act. It is a relentless devotion to inner awareness. The practitioner learns to observe their thoughts as if they were clouds drifting across the sky without judgment, but with discernment. Every reaction, every impulse is studied. Why did I speak that way? What emotion was behind that decision? Through this lens of mindfulness, the seeker becomes their own laboratory, their own experiment. By watching the self, a new kind of intelligence is born, one that is not bound by ego, but led by higher consciousness. Patterns once hidden become visible. Habits once aren't automatic become choices. And through this sacred witnessing, the soul begins to awaken. But awareness alone is not enough. That is why stability is the second pillar. Stability in thought, emotion, and will. This is not stoic repression, but spiritual balance. The Rosicrucian understands that no ascent is possible on shaky ground. Without stable thinking, the mind becomes chaotic. Without emotional harmony, the heart becomes turbulent. Without clear intention, action becomes fragmented. Rudolf Steiner once said, "The greatest explorer on this earth never takes voyages as long as those of the man who descends to the depths of his heart." And indeed, the inner journey is vast. It is humbling. But for those who pursue it, the rewards are limitless. As self-observation and stability grow, so too does mastery. The individual becomes free, not from the world, but from the unconscious patterns that once controlled them. The chains of emotional reactivity fall away, replaced by clarity, grace, and grounded power. This is the beginning of true liberation, the unlocking of human potential through divine order. To sustain this path, the Rosicrucian tradition teaches the cultivation of three sacred virtues: positivity, openness, and equanimity. Positivity in this context is not about blind optimism. It is about energetic resonance. Thoughts of love, hope, and gratitude do not merely make life feel better. They vibrate at higher frequencies, attracting similar energy from the spiritual realm. Through positivity, the practitioner becomes a magnet for divine insight. Openness or equanimity follows closely. It is the ability to hold multiple truths at once, to remain centered even when challenged, and to receive divine wisdom without resistance. The Rosicrucian does not cling to one view, they expand to see the many angles of spiritual truth. In this openness, judgment fades and wisdom flourishes. Equanimity anchors this practice, allowing the practitioner to stand steady through both revelation and trial. It is the calm eye within the storm, the still point through which spirit moves. And so begins the sacred work. A journey not of the feet, but of the soul. A process of rising not by force, but by frequency. In the Rosicrucian tradition, to ascend is to remember that within you lies the gold, the rose, and the light. As we saw before, the Rosicrucian path is not just about mystical experiences. It is a living, breathing journey of transformation. It teaches us to harmonize vibration, refine perception, and align our inner reality with cosmic order. But what happens when we begin to see truth not as a single point, but as a multidimensional field of meaning? One of the profound strengths of the Rosicrucian tradition lies in its invitation to approach truth from many angles. This balanced coexistence of diverse perspectives is not only encouraged, it's essential. When a seeker learns to step outside rigid frameworks and explore a subject from all sides, something powerful occurs. The psyche begins to open. Dogma dissolves, new insights emerge, awareness expands. The Rosicrucians call this practice walking a circle around a subject. It is a metaphor, but also a mental discipline. Instead of clinging to a single viewpoint, the practitioner learns to rotate their awareness, viewing an idea like a sculpture, examining it from every side, every shadow, every contour. What once seemed flat becomes full of texture. What once was certain becomes curious again. And from this openness arises a much deeper holistic understanding. At the heart of this openness lies equanimity, sometimes used interchangeably with the term openness, but even more precisely, it's the calm, unshakable center of the self. Equanimity is not emotional numbness. It is the balanced core that allows the soul to remain undisturbed through life's constant tides. Whether the winds of joy or sorrow blow, the Rosicrucian seeks to remain anchored not in detachment, but in mastery. By cultivating this inner stillness, practitioners avoid falling into the trap of emotional reactivity. Like a vessel sailing through turbulent seas, the Rosicrucian keeps steady not by resisting the waves, but by mastering the rudder. In doing so, the practitioner becomes a container poised and grounded for the refinement of spiritual energies. When the virtues of positivity, openness, and equanimity are intentionally nurtured and embodied, they become threads in a luminous tapestry of vibrational elevation. These threads weave together to raise the practitioner's frequency, enabling them to attune to the higher dimensions of existence. This harmony resonates with the cosmic symphony, allowing the individual not only to observe, but to participate in the great dance of the universe. Among the many contemplative tools in the Rosicrucian arsenal, one practice stands out for its subtle power and spiritual depth: the backward review. This technique may appear simple at first glance, but its implications are profound. Practiced at the close of each day, the backward review involves mentally retracing one's steps in reverse order from the final moment before sleep all the way back to the morning's first thought. The practitioner revisits conversations, actions, emotions, and decisions, not to judge, but to understand. Why did I react that way? What was the true motivation behind that word or silence? Who crossed my path today, and what unseen spiritual force may have been behind that meeting? As this introspective rewind unfolds, two powerful effects emerge. First, self-awareness deepens. The practitioner begins to see their patterns more clearly. The triggers, the moments of unconscious behavior, the subtle victories of discipline or grace. Second, and more mysteriously, a sense of hidden guidance is revealed. The seemingly random moments of the day begin to shimmer with synchronicity. Patterns appear, meaning surfaces. The practitioner starts to feel the invisible threads weaving together their lived experience. This isn't just about reflection, it is about revelation. The backward review aligns with a greater Rosicrucian concept: teleological destination. The idea that life is not random, but shaped by an intelligent, purposeful flow that connects the past, present, and future. When a person retraces their steps mindfully, they begin to glimpse the guiding hand of spirit. Pivotal moments, unexpected meetings, and odd coincidences are no longer dismissed. They are seen as signs markers on the path of purpose. Through this sacred practice, a deeper connection to existence itself is cultivated. The practitioner tunes in not only to the events of the day, but to the current beneath them, the divine rhythm guiding their steps. A spiritual intimacy forms, one that blurs the boundaries between will and destiny. The dance between free will and divine orchestration becomes more visible and more sacred. As we continue deeper into the Rosicrucian path, we encounter two advanced practices that move beyond reflection and into direct spiritual activation: the dissolving practice and Mishalik yoga. These are not beginner techniques. They require discipline, presence, and a willingness to merge intellect with intuition. Let's begin with the dissolving practice. Unlike conventional study methods, the dissolving practice does not aim to simply understand sacred texts. It seeks to embody them. The Rosicrucian practitioner does not merely read spiritual teachings, they dissolve them into their consciousness. The words, images, and metaphors of a text are not left on the page. They are internalized, absorbed, and transmuted into personal insight. This process transforms written symbols into living experience. By dissolving the boundaries between reader and teaching, practitioner and doctrine, the Rosicrucian taps into the original force that birthed the teaching. The spiritual energy behind the words becomes accessible. The veil between intellect and spirit thins, and the practitioner connects with the essence of truth, not just its form. Parallel to this is the extraordinary practice of Mishalik yoga, named in honor of the Archangel Michael, and rooted in the conscious integration of cosmic forces through perception, breath, and will. Unlike traditional yoga that emphasizes physical postures and breath control, Mishalik yoga focuses on subtle spiritual energy, on using intention and awareness to draw in and transform higher frequencies. In this practice, the act of inhaling is symbolic and energetic. The practitioner breathes in perceptions, sensations, and even spiritual energies from the outer world. As the breath is held and processed, the awareness transforms this input into internal insight. The exhale then becomes an offering, a projection of spiritualized thought or realization back into the world. This cyclical rhythm, inhale perception, exhale understanding, builds a living bridge between the material and spiritual planes. Over time, it amplifies the practitioner's inner sensitivity, revealing the energetic patterns hidden within ordinary experience. Each breath becomes a ritual. Each moment becomes a doorway. These practices, the dissolving and mycelic yoga, form a powerful dyad in the Rosicrucian toolkit. They exemplify the path's commitment to experiential spirituality. This is not about belief. It is about knowing through inner experience, transformation, and revelation. Together, they allow the practitioner to integrate spiritual wisdom from multiple sources, texts, cosmic energies, and inner realizations into a unified, embodied awareness. The result is nothing short of vibrational ascent. But the Rosicrucian tradition doesn't just stop at the individual level. It postulates something greater, that humanity itself bears a cosmic responsibility. In this worldview, human beings are not merely creatures of flesh. We are bridges, sacred conduits between the material and the spiritual realms. In order for true evolution to occur, the practitioner must learn to perceive spirit within matter, to see the sacred in the mundane, to feel the eternal within the fleeting. By bringing conscious awareness into form, we awaken matter. By refining matter through spiritual intention, we elevate spirit. It is this dynamic interplay that not only transforms the individual, but contributes to the evolution of consciousness on a cosmic scale. This is the heart of the Rosicrucian path, to not only seek personal enlightenment, but to serve as a living link between worlds, to be the alchemist, the observer, the vessel, and ultimately the light.